So for this lesson, we're going to look at evaluating logarithmic expressions. And the first step of this process is to rewrite our expression in exponential form, and then we can solve for the exponent. So it sounds a bit more complicated than it actually is. So what I like to tell people is you're going to rewrite your expression. So first you're going to start with labeling it in logarithmic form. So if you haven't watched the video about rewriting expressions from log to exponential form and vice versa, you might want to start there. So here we have our A, our B, and we notice we don't have a C, so we'll put equals C. We're going to rewrite this in exponential form like we see here. So we have our A first, which is our 3. Our C is our exponent, which is unknown, and equal to our B, which is 9. So now all we have to ask ourselves is 3 to what power is equal to 9? Since we know 3 multiplied by itself is equal to 9, we know that C has to equal 2. So since 3 squared is equal to 9, that's why the answer to this expression is simply a 2. So the steps, just to rehash and make sure it makes sense, is to start with something in logarithmic form and label it up, transform it into exponential form, and then solve for C. Let's try this one out over here. So we have A, B, and our unknown of C. We'll rewrite it in exponential, which is A, C, B. And we're solving for C. Once again, we have that power of 2 because 7 squared is 49. We know C has to equal 2. So it's always our A, B, and equal to C. We just have to add that little equals part. And then we're rewriting it into that exponential form as we see here. That'll also be on your formula sheet. So we'll rewrite this as 6 to the C power equals 36. And then we're solving for our C. I made a lot of these too, I didn't realize. But 6 to the second power is 36. So once again, C equals 2. I want to show you one with a fraction today, and then you'll probably understand for the most part. This one here, the B is this whole fraction, and the C is what we're solving for. So if we rewrite this in exponential form, we have 4 to the C power equals 1 over 16. Now we know 4 squared is 16 because 4 times itself is 16. So we might be tempted to put C equals 2 and call it a day. But since this 16 lives in the bottom, our exponent has to be a negative. Because anytime you have a negative exponent, it causes the answer to live in the basement or the denominator of our fraction. So to show one more like that, to make sure we fully understand, we have our ABC logarithmic form, rewriting an exponential as 6 to the C equals 1 over 216. This one's slightly different because 6 to the third power is 216. You can do that in your calculator by hitting this little arrow button. And usually I just keep guessing and checking until I get it. And I know 6 squared is a little too small. So I may be tempted to stop my answer here, but since this number lives in the bottom, I know my exponent has to be a negative. So just to make sure we understand, we're rewriting our logarithmic expression into exponential form and then solving for our missing exponent. Sometimes you have a negative exponent, when you have that fraction for b, that's always going to happen. So if you have any questions about evaluating logarithmic expressions using your main formulas at the top, please let me know and I'm here to help.